Hello, viewers or viewer. Hopefully, I'm talking to you in real time. If not, welcome anyway. As usual, it is my assertion that all gods are imaginary. So I invite you to prove me wrong. But first, while I'm waiting, I'm going to present a small talk that E.A. Dawa put together and he actually comes up with a really good, he actually does, what's the word, justify the title of his talk, which is The Problem with Faith. Okay? In other words, you got your faith and you got your evidence. And E.A. Dawa very, very cleverly separates the two and throws away faith and says, give me the evidence. Listen up.
Or at least try and help it. So today we're going to be going over a big issue within the realms of talking to theists and talking to atheists, having these fruitful conversations. And that is a 5-letter word called faith. So faith has a lot of different definitions for it. When you think of what is faith, it could mean so many different things. People use it in so many different ways within their life, whether you're religious or not. And I'm actually going to dive into a little bit about what each of these mean, how we can use them, the issues with some of these definitions, and what I believe faith is, my definition and my take on faith, and ways that you can try and tear down an argument. Once you've already brought it down to that, you have to take it by faith measure, either at the very beginning or towards the end of the argument. A lot of times you'll get, well, you just have to take it on faith, or it all starts with faith. I find that as a huge problem. And we're going to be going into why that's a problem. So first thing we need to do whenever we're talking to somebody that boils down to faith, we need to ask them what they mean by faith. How do they define faith? There's one where there's not really too much confusion when you're talking about it, and it's, what's your faith? Are you the Christian faith? Or are you the Muslim faith? Everybody's pretty much on the same page when it comes to that. They don't have to, explain why they think they're the Christian faith or the Mormon faith. I mean, that's used as a belief, and that's what actually in the dictionary it says. There's a couple different definitions for it. But the first definition is a belief. That's what it boils down to, is a belief in the dictionary, which I'm not going to argue with. If you want to go ahead and say that you are part of the Christian faith, I understand what you mean. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong, but that's not the only way that we use faith. So we can push that one to the side, saying, hey, we already gotten that one pretty notched up when it comes to understanding what people mean when they say they have faith in that type of manner. A lot of people will go to the second definition, having like trust and confidence in something. That's what they boil down to faith. A lot of times, most of the time when it comes to my personal experience, I've gotten I have faith that this chair is going to hold me up. So I have an issue with that because we're comparing a chair holding you up to be equivalent with my God, who has all supernatural powers and can supervise my entire life and tell me what I can and can't eat and who I can and can't sleep with and in what position. It's not exactly a good comparison, if you will. So when it comes to that, I have an issue with trust and confidence, because if you're using faith to explain trust and confidence, why muddy the waters with adding the word faith to it? If you have trust and confidence in something, just say you have trust and confidence. Don't add this extra word that's got all these umpteen different definitions for it and try and use it to bolster your religious beliefs. If I have trust and confidence in something, that means that I can be wrong. If you have faith in something, for example, a God belief, and you know that your God exists 100%, that means that your faith could not lead you down the wrong path. And I'll actually get into that a little bit later. When it comes to the trust and confidence part, just use trust and confidence. Don't say I have faith and that's equivalent to trust and confidence. We already have words that mean certain things. Don't add this extra word that doesn't mean anything when it comes to comparing it to trust and confidence. Another definition of faith comes straight out of the Bible. And this is the one that I like to use because most of the people that I talk to say that the Bible is the true word of God. It's the authoritative word of God. Hebrews 11:1 states that faith, and this is two different parts in the same exact sentence. It states that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So let's focus on that first one, the substance of things hoped for. So I have no problem with hope. I hope for a lot of things. Hope is basically a confidence level or a type of optimism for things panning out the way that you want them to be. I hope that I keep my job. I hope that my kids stay healthy. That hope is perfectly fine. We're not boiling it down to an absolute certainty. By hoping something, I'm not saying that I know my kids are going to be fine. They may not be. They may get sick. They may, my son goes to a daycare all week long, and he may come home with some nasty bacteria that some other kids brought to the daycare. I don't know, but I can always hope that they are healthy. So the substance of things hoped for, that could be taken so many different ways. So substance of things hoped for, I see as, the hope of hope. It doesn't make much sense to me. And a lot of times when I talk to believers, like I said, most of the time, since I'm living in, America, the most predominant faith that I come across is Christianity. So when I say, what is faith? And they go to Hebrews 11:1, I got a series of questions that I need to ask them, just to make sure that we have clarity. If we don't have clarity, then we're going to start talking past each other. And a lot of people think that interrupting is bad. Interrupting is rude. You shouldn't do that. In a lot of cases, it is rude. But in some cases, if you're trying to get down to understanding and being on the same page as the person that you're talking to, there's really no problem with interruption. If you're trying to have them define terms that they haven't defined yet, or if you're just trying to make sure you're on the same page so you guys can continue the conversation without being, 15 pages apart from each other, that is fine. Because at the end of it, if you don't get clarity, then you're going to go right back to square one. And the conversation really means nothing at that point. So back to Hebrews 11:1. Substance of things hoped for, that's one thing. And then the evidence of things not seen. So that means that if faith is the evidence, that means that they are apart from actual empirical evidence. If I have evidence for something, I don't need faith. I can just produce the evidence. So how do I define faith? I define faith like my favorite atheist. I define faith as gullibility. I define faith as believing in something that you have no good reason for, or good reason to believe. If I have faith in this chair, and you're going to use that as the trust and confidence, then that means that this chair cannot fall. This chair cannot break. I have trust and confidence in this chair due to evidence. And that evidence is me sitting down in this same chair multiple times in my past and it not falling over. Now, that doesn't mean that the next time I sit in it, it's not going to fall over. But it's shown me its durability. I have evidence. I have personal experiences, and every single personal experience that you ever have is evidence of some sort. It could be anecdotal evidence, but it is evidence of some sort. So every time I sit in this chair, it doesn't fall over. It feels sturdy. It's held me in here for hours upon hours at a time. I have evidence to provide a reasoning for having trust and confidence in this chair. Faith is not like that. If faith is the evidence of things not seen, if it's not seen, that's, in other words, in my interpretation, a lack of evidence. If you don't have any real evidence, let's chalk it up to faith and take it by faith. So what if I'm a Muslim and I say, I know that Allah exists and I take that on faith? Or if I'm a Mormon and I say Joseph Smith did what he did and everything in the Book of Mormon is correct, true, and authoritative, that means that I can take that on faith. And then that provides my absolute certainty and provides my reasoning for believing in what I believe. Well, they can't all three be right. Christianity, Islam, and Mormonism. They can't all be correct, but they can all be incorrect. Since they are monotheistic religions, if they all take it by faith, that means 2/3 of what I just mentioned are incorrect. Now, does that seem like a reliable pathway to truth? It is not. If 2/3 can be wrong, if 1 out of 100 can be wrong, it is not a reliable pathway to truth. That's the issue that I have with faith to begin with. Now, a lot of times people will say, oh, well, you just take that on blind faith. And then the believer will say, no. My faith is backed by evidence. Okay, cool. So you have a belief. That belief is bolstered by faith, and that faith is based by evidence. So in turn, you're saying your belief is based on evidence. So provide the evidence. We can throw faith out of here right now. If faith is just the middleman tying the belief to the evidence, we don't need faith. Throw it out. That's the issue that I have if you're using it as the evidence of things not seen. Now, like I said before, anybody can use faith for anything. I could say I am superior to black people because I'm white. And I take that on faith. Now, just because I have faith in that, does that mean that I'm correct? No, it does not. Because now we need to get into different situations. Are we talking about how fast I am? If I was to get into a foot race, which I can guarantee you right now, I probably wouldn't win, depending on the person. If you look at the Olympics, a lot of our fastest runners, the fastest, I think his name's Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt, he is the fastest runner in the world. He's black. If I was to say that I am the greatest human in the world, point blank, better than any other human, that is a positive claim that I would need to bring evidence for. But if I just say I take it on faith, then you can't do anything about it. But I'm also exhibiting how I am leaving reason, how I'm not using reason within this realm of my life. Because if I just take it on faith, that means that you can't falsify it because you don't know my faith. And it just gets into this big muddy rabbit hole that we go down to where it's unnecessary. It's unneeded. A lot of times I'll come across to where I've used this whole argument and I've brought it down to them being unreasonable. I've brought it down to, having faith in anything. You could literally take faith on any proposition you could ever think of. And that doesn't mean that it's actually true. Then I get, well, you have faith too. No, you have faith too. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean that you're saying that you're unreasonable, but I'm unreasonable too? That's an admittance that you have absolutely left reason. That's an admittance that your belief system or your foundation for your belief isn't holding itself up. It is just playing this childish game of, I'm bad, well, you're bad too. Or I'm unreasonable, and so are you. And let's just say we get to the bottom of it all, and they're not willing to part from faith. That's fine. You can have faith in whatever you want to, but if it comes down to a God belief, that faith does not describe what kind of God you're providing this faith for. You will have to presuppose whatever God that you currently believe in and presuppose his existence to be able to say you have faith in this God. It's unreasonable. It doesn't lead you to truth. It's not a reliable pathway to finding out what's actually true. And if the person that you're talking to is not worried about that and they just want to have faith because they want to have faith, because they want to believe in what they want to believe in, a lot of people sometimes say that, the conversation's over with. And a lot of times I will agree. The conversation is pretty much over with. Try and plant the seed, though. Try and at least get them thinking about it. Ask them, would you like to have a conversation at a later date? And maybe revisit this. Psychologically speaking, for somebody to remember something, it takes about 3 times for you to say it for them to actually latch onto it. So try and plant that seed. Try and at least get them to think about it. You're not going to convert somebody on the first day or the first conversation. That's not how this works. This is a very long and drawn out process of them being indoctrinated into a belief, or spend a lot of time listening to somebody tell them how true these things really are. It wasn't an overnight thing that they started believing, which means that it's not going to be an overnight thing trying to deconvert. Maybe you're not trying to deconvert. Maybe you're just trying to have a good conversation.
Possible.
You're not going to get them to reason on the first day. So my only advice is to keep asking these questions. Keep asking them and providing them situations to where faith works against what they believe.
Ask those questions.
And if they are using the same argument for their belief and the way that they're using faith, and you keep bringing up all these other situations to where other proclamations of faith are in contradiction with their own, they could eventually see the difference or the mistake that they're making. I hope this bit of information can help you out when it comes to having a conversation with somebody and they bring it down to faith. They bring the conversation or their belief to, you have to take it on faith. It happens a lot. It typically, almost every single time you have a conversation, boils down to faith at some point in time, depending on how you break the situation down. So I really hope this information was good for you guys. If you have any ways of doing it yourself that you've found successful, please bring it to the table. Let me know. Shoot me a message on SoundCloud. Put a comment in there, something like that, with somehow get in touch with me so I can possibly bring it up in a later episode. So today we're going to be going. So
that was E.A. Dawa talking about the problem with faith, and he made a lot of sense, I think, anyway. So here, this is the format. My statement, or even my challenge, if you like to say that. My statement, my challenge is all gods are imaginary. Prove me wrong. So, what I expect to have in the room for the conversation is somebody who's going to join the room, take the 2 minutes, or hey, you might want more, but I'm giving you 2 minutes, and to present your argument to me. Don't ask me questions. That's irrelevant. Present your argument to me as you understand it. Okay? If we get mixed messages, or if there's something strange, then we can just tackle that at some point. But you got 2 minutes to prove me wrong. And as usual, the join link for the room for the I actually might have to do something like change stuff around. Just give me one moment. Have some music. Ba 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 wow poo. Nice. Okay, that was really, really awesome. So let's see, my microphone's on. You can probably all hear me. The conversation room is open. The challenge room is open. Or the conversation room, however it turns out, doesn't really matter. But as usual, the challenge is to prove me wrong. My claim is that all gods are imaginary. Okay? I have a I have some more E.A. Dawa lined up because, as you know, he really knows his stuff, right? So let's listen to some E.A. Dawa.
Which means that ball can't exist unless it bounces, right? And you say something like, well, the ball exists and the ball is bouncy. You may be referencing one of the ball's properties, but you agree that when you invoke the concept of the bouncy ball, you're already expressing that it bounces, because the ball couldn't exist without bouncing. You agree, right? Like, that makes sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, so similarly, your concept of God necessarily has the property of time and necessarily changes. That's what you've said. So, when you talk about God changing, when you talk about concepts of time with relation to God, the point is those concepts are already going to be expressed by you simply invoking the concept of God in the first place, much like the red bouncy ball invokes the concept of bouncing, necessarily. It doesn't mean anything to say that the ball doesn't bounce, because then it just doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay,
so in both cases, the point is, in both cases, those statements would be uninformative.
Mm-hmm. So if I was to say that last Tuesday I took that bouncy ball and I bounced it and I threw it at the ground and it bounced off the ground and came back to me, that would still be part of the tautology?
You're just describing an action of the ball.
I'm describing an action of the ball with other...
Okay, that's E.A. Dawa, and he's being difficult. You know, the problem with faith he presented really very logically well thought out, with a definitely impactful conclusion that faith is fucked. Faith, throw it out. Give me some evidence. And here, he seems to be having difficulty with his fellow atheists. I don't understand this.
With other substance to it. I mean, this basically reduces everything to a tautology.
No, it doesn't.
No.
You can describe like an action that something takes with
Yeah,
necessary
I've done
properties.
multiple times now.
Right, but that's not the criticism. The criticism is that you think you're saying something interesting when you say God changes. Interesting is not the right word there. I should say informative.
Yeah, I was going to say interesting is pretty subjective.
Is there something informative about saying the necessarily bouncy ball bounces?
Yes, because he could have existed with that necessary attribute of time without expressing it.
It doesn't matter if it's expressed or unexpressed.
Well,
The point is if it's a necessary
that's the difference
property.
between whether it's just a tautological or not.
Okay, I'm gonna disengage. Good luck.
So,
Okay.
real quick, Khalil, could you summarize Pogan's point real quick?
Yeah, so basically he's saying that when I describe what God does, I'm describing actions of what his necessary attributes are, which isn't really adding anything informative to the substance of the discussion. I'm just basically saying God has these properties and uses these properties.
Okay, so if you understand his point, then where's your disagreement?
The disagreement is when he asks me if it's a necessary property, and I say yes, it is, and I make sure I add the caveat of it. It depends on if it's unexpressed or not, and he says that doesn't matter. And the point of it is that he could exist as the lonely object with the necessary attribute of time unexpressed. Him expressing it is not necessary. He doesn't need to express his necessary attribute of time to exist. So right there, he's going outside of what the tautology would be. He could perform these actions if he did this or if he did that because of these necessary attributes. But now we're going outside of that, talking about contingent actions that God performs,
EA, what do you
which
take
is outside of the tautology.
If a necessary property is unexpressed, it doesn't cease to be necessary, right?
No, it's still a necessary property, but whether it's used or not,
Then you're
is
agreeing. It's a tautology.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. That's actually the point that I was going to make. It doesn't matter whether it's expressed or not. That's still an attribute. It didn't stop being an attribute. His whole point had to do with the attribute of an entity that you're describing.
Well, I would just disagree.
Hold on for a second. But you're
Sure.
offering the fact that there's some sort of area or facet of this entity's attribute, right, that you want to place an emphasis on, which is cool, fine, but that's not pertinent to his actual point at all, because the attribute is still there, whether it's expressed or not. You can think of it like a gene. You still have the gene may not be expressed, but it's still there. So if I say this human has genes, well, all humans have genes. It's not informative.
Yeah, I'm still missing the point of
obviously.
Yeah, because I'm talking to somebody who's not a philosopher about this, and I don't understand what the issue is.
Let's look.
Are you a philosopher?
The point
Yes,
is,
I'm an amateur philosopher. Now let's get disrespectful, Dragnot. Yeah.
Aren't we all?
the point is this, right? Very simple.
Thanks for my 50 subs when you came on, brother. I appreciated that.
When you're like arguing in a conceptual.
What are you doing?
Huh?
He's just crowd chasing. This guy doesn't believe shit. He just wants money. That's all he believes in. Fuck this shit.
I want money.
Very well may be the case.
Terrible to think. Same thing to say about Dragnot.
Can you substantiate that?
My subs.
Can
I mean,
you
that was
substantiate
that was a
that?
pretty stupid comment you just made at Drag. Like that optic.
Yeah.
saying
Anyways,
optically that wasn't-
I thank Drag for something. Can I not be silenced by 15 different non-believers?
Thank you.
First of all, I've been a Muslim longer than you've been.
Showing me the good reasons why I left atheism.
Here, kind of
You're not showing me exactly why I left atheism.
You
What?
said
you said you were convinced.
on the planet. I would bet $100 you couldn't name my fucking religion if I gave you a G.
I don't care. I want to know how you know that I want to make money.
You're a lying sack of shit.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
You live in a capitalist society.
No funny.
Hold on, I can't hear this person.
You're a lying sack of shit, and nobody cares.
Stop making the claim and substantiate it. I'll wait.
care about your philosopho garbage that you're going to try and appropriate because it makes you sound
No. See, now this is called dodging. I'm asking you how you know that I want to make money. I'll wait.
Look, did you just say that you thanked
Hold on,
Drag for fit? Wait, I'm gonna substantiate it. Did you just say that you thanked Drag for 50 subs?
Hey, Tom, is this how you let your group run?
you're a fake
Why
ass.
are you appealing to Tom?
Yeah, all these fanboys in here.
Look, let's just return to the substance.
easy.
No, because I can see that I'm in a group of people that are only just Islamophobic and they just want to start talking shit.
Look, if you don't want to be challenged,
I didn't say a single thing about
Take my
Islam.
leave. I'll take my leave. You guys can continue to be immoral pieces of crap, and I will take my leave. Have a good day.
I am a Muslim. Okay, you fucking piece of shit, fucking baiting ass motherfucker.
Yeah, he's the fakery with him. There's something up with him.
What culture? Okay, Toast. I'm culturally a Muslim. I grew up Muslim.
Hannah, you know, I guess I should apologize to the.
Well, that was E.A. Dawa making an absolute fool of himself. But that's what happens when when you're a confused guy like E.A. Dawa is, when he can so succinctly and lucidly put together an argument that concludes the problem of faith being that there is a problem with faith, I should say, and the problem with faith is that it's not a problem if you just throw it away because it's not worth anything. It doesn't really replace empiricism in any way. And if that's what you're looking for, if your faith is such that you don't need empiricism, then good on you. But then you must understand that your faith is internal. It's your imaginary connection to, well, maybe your real connection to your imaginary God. How's that? Hello, Rebel. I see you're in the background there, trying to hide in the shadow of the corner so that I don't see you. I want you to come in and let's have a talk about humanism and the state of humanism around the world. That would be just as valid a topic for me to talk for you, really, for me to listen to you about, because I'm all about humanism and you're all about humanism, so it might be a way to diffuse situations when they become tense, right? So we have a couple of options. We've always got options. Somebody can come into the room. Oh, look, I how did that happen? Good. Oh, I'm muted as well. Okay, I'm not muted anymore. Are you muted? Yes, you're muted. Hello, Rebel, but you're muted.
Apparently, I am muted. Yeah.
We're all muted. Welcome. So good.
Hey.
So good to see you.
Thank you. I actually was going to have my camera on, but it wouldn't let me, so it gave me some funky background, but no worries. I'm happy to wait.
Well.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, that's fine. I actually haven't seen you in like 4 or 5 years, like literally seen you.
I'm the same person.
No, I know, but I don't know what you look like anymore, unless you look exactly the same as you did 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know. I can't turn it on.
Well, I don't look the same. I've been looking back at my.
I can see you.
I've been looking at the videos from 2015. You know, when the height of my YouTube career, and and I definitely can tell how much of aged or that I've aged. You know, Like I didn't have any gray in my beard. It was more of a red beard 6 years ago, 7 years
Oh
ago.
yeah.
So that's my
Oh honey, I got more wrinkles. I'm not doing the Botox thing or any of that
How
stuff.
the hell could you get any more wrinkles?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I got a few.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
That's all right. I'm okay just the way I am.
Yeah. So what's new in humanism?
It's a tricky world there with the world of humanism.
How come there's no United Nations? What do they call them? Committees or
Humanist
what
representative?
on humanism? In other words, like there's a watchdog. There should be a watchdog for
Well, I think there probably are
for
some
violations of humanism.
Well, there are human rights organizations, right?
Yeah, but they don't do shit. They still allow boys to be mutilated, and they still allow boys to be mutilated with glee.
Right, but
So that's not a human rights. I'm sorry. How does that a human rights?
No, I would agree with you on that one. I don't agree with that. But that's a whole religious.
It is, but it might be, but it still violates human rights, and still is sanctioned. Is still allowed by the human rights. So
right.
The United Nations can go and.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of work to be done, right? I think ultimately we have to remember that it's about educating the individuals, because the more we blame the big organizations, the more we say that we want big organizations to run everything, right? And that really is not what we should be saying. What we should be saying is, I'm going to take responsibility for myself as a human, and I'm going to be vocal, or I'm going to make sure that if I live in a democratic republic that I vote, and not just tell people I vote and then tell people what to do, right? Don't be a closet fascist, right? Don't say I'm an American and be a patriot and then tell other people how to believe. Like that's just
Talking about that. I don't want to leave you out. I'd like to make you part of the same part of the group and the club like everybody else. So I will give you your 2 minutes to meet my challenge. All gods are imaginary. Prove me wrong. You have 2 minutes. You can, of course, decide not to do this and say screw it. Let's just carry on talking.
Yeah, because this is difficult for me because I have no desire to tell you how to believe, right? Like,
no. I don't. No.
So it's a personal relationship that I have with whatever this is that I'm having with, right?
It's imaginary, right?
Whatever. I don't know that. I don't know that it's imaginary any more than I know it's real. What I'm having is a real experience.
Well, if you don't know that it's imaginary any more than you know it's real, try thinking of your Google Meet appearance tonight. Just try thinking of it as being imaginary and not real.
Wait a minute. So you seem to be forgetting what I did for the first 54 years of my life.
No,
right?
It's got nothing to do with your first 54. I'm talking about the here and now.
I can imagine what it's like. I can imagine. Well, that was my first reference was no God, no possibility.
No, you never said. I listened to some of our old talks. Like we got lots. I got some hangouts from way back when, with you on them.
Oh yeah.
And I was listening for your atheism, and you never, ever were 100% certain about there being no God. I listened specifically. You were never 100%.
So I think that's important to point out, right? That I didn't have an opinion one way or the other.
Exactly.
Hold on. Yeah, I didn't have an opinion one way or the other because I typically, before I fell upon this community, would have never had a discussion about something in which I don't believe. Right? I would have never had that discussion. It seemed like
it was
crazy making, as a therapist would say. That's crazy making. Why would you talk about so I joined in on the conversation because I came across the community and I was at a very difficult time in my life and I needed community, right?
Yeah, well you never gave in. You never sort of became a sheeple.
No, I didn't. But I was having my own private hell, right? I was having my own struggle.
Why didn't she ever reach out and talk to us about that? I mean, nothing was YouTube at the time. It was all just hangouts, and they were private hangouts and stuff like that. No,
you remember what was going on, right? Like
no,
I'd gotten myself vulnerable. I'd been vulnerable and was like having this kind of pseudo, what I thought was a long distance, relationship with somebody who clearly was just messing with me, right? I was just, I was cannon fodder for their comedy gold, so to speak.
I have no idea about that. I have no idea who that person is or what you're talking about. I don't know about. Our communications stopped long before that happened, I guess, or whenever. I still don't know about that. I don't know when that happened.
Then at the tail end, then it was Rob Beasley, right? And then because Rob was standing up for me because he felt like this man had done me wrong publicly, and there was that big.
Is this the man from across the pond, man?
Yes.
Oh, wow! I do remember that.
Right. Yeah. So.
And his excuse for why he stopped it was really ungentlemanly. He was very narcissistic.
Well, it was what it was. I don't even know what the reality of it was. So here's an interesting thing. I was in that, experience, and I still don't know what was real or what was work.
Yeah, it's all a troll. Unless you really, really know somebody, it's all a troll.
Right. So there was, there I was in a really vulnerable place, had to quit working because of my PTSD, and left the job that I had had for 25 years, and it was my identity, and then came across this community. I didn't know what I was, what I was going to do. Like, I really thought I was losing my mind at the time. My coworkers were committing suicide, and the job stress was getting to us, and I just figured I was next. And
did you think that coming to the hangout was like stepping out of reality or something?
I didn't really know what to expect because I'd spent all those years before never being on the internet, right? I was working on a paramedic ambulance, right? Like I didn't have time. We were working 24, 48, 72 hours at a time, right? I mean, I spent a month at Hurricane Katrina, like the Oakland Hills fire, the Oakland Hills, the earthquake, the Loma Prieta earthquake, and all the gang violence from the 80s and stuff like that. Like I was a proper busy person, right? So I didn't really have a whole lot of time for that kind of stuff. But when my world kind of came crashing down and I came onto the internet, like I didn't even know what Google Plus was, but I found it. I got sucked in. I remember I ran into Gus in the beginning and a few other folks. And
sorry about that. You really got screwed up.
It was really like a real life Alice in Wonderland, right? Just falling down the rabbit hole and just not knowing where I was, and coming across people who had these titles as atheists, and we started talking about books about atheism, and I started re-examining my whole childhood, my mother's childhood, my grandmother who came here based on the fact that she could not believe, right? Which is at a time it wasn't even really called atheism until.
Where did she come from?
She came from Italy.
And
then
you're not allowed to be an atheist in Italy?
No, I don't know that you're not allowed to, but back when she came, right, it wasn't popular, mostly Catholics and, all of that stuff. So it wasn't necessarily popular. She was 18 when I passed away. And of course, I would love to have had a lot more conversation with her about it. But what it was she did always stand up for don't ever talk badly about anybody's religion, right? That was a big deal to her. And the volunteer work that she did was, at the time, there were really only faith-based organizations, right? So she spent a lot of time with these people because she was a humanist, right? So she was about helping people. And during the early years, or part of the century, that that's all it was just faith-based. So she kind of had to just do that. And when my mom got pregnant with me as a teenager, she had to go to a convent. She had to go to a home for unwed mothers, right? Nuns. Like, how uncomfortable was that? And so then when I came across our community, and they're arguing God or no God, and talking about debate and G-Man and Nadia and, you know, all of these.
G-Man's still around.
I had no
There's still
idea
some people.
was.
Some people still do G-Man shows.
Because I looked for him the other day. I was watching something, but it was pretty interesting. But I remember thinking, well, how is this? There's this whole community of atheists, right? And how do you have a book about atheism? I remember saying in a hangout once, like, what is in a book of atheism? I find no belief in God, in any God or whatever. That's it, the end. Like, but what I found as I started listening to Christopher Hitchens, and then started listening to these books and stuff, what I realized was that there was a lot of angry theists or angry ex-theists. And the conclusion that I come to is that organized religion and poor human character is what has fucked up a lot of people. And they're all taking it out on whatever God may or may not be, right? So my thing is, if I say anything to anybody about religion, it's like, or God, because religion I don't like myself. Screw religion, screw the rest of the world. Don't give up on God, right? And there's a partnership for me, the experience, whatever experience I'm having, that when in a time when I was deeply upset and abandoned by everybody, right? And I get it, like maybe I had a psychotic break, and maybe that is the origin of this experience. But I remember drug-induced psychosis, and I remember believing that the refrigerator was listening in on me. Like, I remember all that stuff. And that I could parse out, that I could say, oops, something's going wrong with your brain. This isn't real. You know, this isn't right. So that's why I went and got myself help. But now this experience that I'm having, a more spiritual experience, it's not like that. Like, I had to do a lot of work. Like, I had to walk a path of, I'm going to use the word righteousness, but I don't want it to be used in a way that is meant to be superior, because it's not. I'm not better. Whatever. But I had to keep doing the next right thing. And it's something we learn in recovery. Keep doing the next right thing. And I kept doing the next right thing and kept doing the next right thing. And boom, it landed me in the homeless camp, right? Not living there, but working there, right? 9 months in, I'm working at a homeless camp, 500 folks deep, all of them with meth pipes, my drug of choice, right? And with problems way more than I could have ever imagined. I grew up super, super white and privileged, right? This was not the experience of most of these people. We did have trauma, childhood trauma in common. We had drug addiction in common. And I suppose to some extent mental health, right? Because of the PTSD and the CPTSD that I brought. So all of these things kind of keep happening, because I'm going to speak to you honestly, like, it felt like if there was a God and if this is what was happening to me, God said, I get you, girl. I get what you want. You've always been in service of humanity. And if I'm going to find a way into your heart, I'm going to have to meet you where you're at, right? Because God knew that I wasn't having it. Like, God knew I was not having any kind of belief system in any of this bullshit that I had seen.
Well, didn't God plan out your life just from beginning to end?
I don't know that. That's what the books say, but I don't know whether that's really God's nature. Because I learned in the great debate community, what do you propose to know the mind of God?
Well, the books exactly. The books also say that that God exists. Why do you accept that?
I accept whatever experience I'm having at the time, but I feel no need to define it other than the way I feel like I can understand it. And so these good things keep happening to me as I continue to do good things, right? So
okay, that's beautiful.
You know my philosophy, right? You know I'm a humanist, and so I care about. I think that if there is a God, and we feed, clothe, house, and heal our brothers and sisters, that would be pleasing to God.
I want to share something.
Frankly, I don't think God needs pleasing, because it's omnipotent. It knows better. that's a human thing that we put on it. But let me just say one more thing before I let you go.
No, I want to say, I just wanted to.
If there is no God and we feed, clothe, house, and heal each other, we all still win. It's a win-win. So, like, I'm going to believe what I want to believe. I'm going to let you believe what you want to believe. But together, we can work on feeding, clothing, housing, and healing humanity. That seems like a place we can...
Well, let me tell you what I do. I do a humanist deed every day. Do you do a humanist? Yes, I do.
I've given my whole life over to humanity. Like, I live in my job.
No, I do the same humanist deed every day. Well, not the same one, but the same one plus others when needed. But I'm an animal lover, like from my toes to my head. My neighbor has a cat. My dog and cat have a relationship. My dog and the cat. And my neighbor, being a little bit, I don't know, maybe forgetful, perhaps. She doesn't scoop out the cat's poo enough. So what I do is I go every day and I scoop out the poo, and I make sure that the cat's got enough kitty litter, and there's enough in there, and
That's sweet.
Well, it is sweet. I kind of have to do it almost. It's almost like I have to do it because otherwise the cat's going to have, a overflowing kitty litter box, and that's disgusting.
Yeah, agreed. And you're helping another human being out in the most basic way, right?
Yeah, exactly. She still can't figure out why I'm doing this.
That's all right. She doesn't need to.
I told her. I kind of told her. I just said I'm paying it forward or something. I forget exactly what I said.
Yeah, paying it forward, right? Here's the thing: people have to deal with themselves, right? We have to face ourselves, and whatever it is that's ailing us, whatever As I listened to that last bit of video that you were playing or audio, you can just hear everybody's dysfunction, right? The projection. Oh, you're just doing this for the money. Like, yeah, lady.
Well, in that case, she was correct.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. But the point is, she's throwing a shot at him that is her. She's projecting that same thing.
Perhaps
she's doing too, right? So what's the point? Like I haven't figured out what the name of this game is that is still going on in the great debate community, right? Like, what's the end game?
I don't think there's a great debate community left.
Well, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So that's what I haven't figured out is what the end game is, because all I hear is everybody's dysfunction going nutty on each other, right? Like I'm gonna find out the secrets of the universe, which clearly, if there is an omnipotent being out there, if we were meant to know it, we would know it. If it doesn't exist, then there's nothing to know, right? Like how many thousands of years and how many millions of words of philosophy and how much do we have to know about our history before we realize, look, this debate has been had. Right? And what I see is a power struggle. People who want to dominate each other. I feel bad about myself, so I'm going to come out and be in a pissing match with you, and I'm going to argue what can never be proven.
Right.
I can't prove it, right? But I don't try to. I can only say this is the experience I'm having. Take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you doing for your common man, right? That's what I want to know. Like, who gives a shit what I believe about where I go afterwards? What are you doing for people now?
Well, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to save or help the whole world. Just help one person in need. If everybody does that, then what a beautiful planet we live on.
And do yourself a favor. What? Start with yourself. Start with yourself.
Help yourself.
Love yourself, because the minute you truly love yourself, the world changes and it opens up because you see the humanity that you value in others.
I don't see that. I find that as soon as you do that, all your inner anger disappears.
Yeah.
There's no hatred, there's no anger, there's nothing negative. which is kind of a feeling I really appreciate having reached.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just like at what point, cognitive dissonance is such a huge thing in society. Like we know better, like smoking. We know that smoking causes this or that, but yet now on the internet you can find any group of people that now say it's a conspiracy. I dropped out of high school, but yet let me tell you about gain of function research and.
Well, is it a conspiracy that McDonald's makes you obese if it's all you eat?
Well, I don't know that that's a conspiracy. I think that's pretty well a fact. I mean, China didn't have a problem with childhood obesity until McDonald's came in. So I don't think there's much debate on that. You just have to be willing to find the data and vet it, right?
Imagine getting fat from eating cat. Ugh.
You know what? I've been all over Southeast Asia and Asia. I don't know. They eat a lot more than what you think. And
they eat anything that moves. Anything.
Yeah. But where most people, like, they don't have cat farms, right? They do have cattle farms, though. They do have, lambs and sheep and pork and stuff like that.
Of course they do.
Until we start seeing cat farms and dog farms, I would chalk that up to old world, isolated issues. Even the Koreans don't do that.
I believe that there some, I don't know if it's China or Korea, but there are industries which breed dogs for being eaten.
Yeah, that happens all over the world. It's not just Asia.
Oh,
I mean, that's
really?
Everywhere.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in areas all over the world where meat is scarce, of course they're going to eat whatever they want to eat. They also eat grubs.
I never said that meat is scarce in Korea or China. Never did I say that. I never said that China and Korea do it because meat is scarce. It's part of their culture.
Yeah, no, it was part. So in South Korea, it was part of their culture like 100 years ago. There are a few old folks that during certain celebrations will still do it, but it is like there are more. They have turned that around. There are more pet stores. I mean, these people, nobody spends the money that the Koreans spend on their pets just so they can eat them. Because let me tell you, every Korean girl in Gangnam has a little tiny dog with a matching tracksuit, right? People bring their animals everywhere, and you don't spend money on an animal just to throw it in the oven. You don't dress it up.
That's very, very grotesquely put. Throw it in the oven.
Well, because it's not true anymore, right? That happened remember that was during the Olympics back in
the 70s.
Knowing
humankind the way I do, every disgusting thing that you can possibly think of that happened is still happening, including the dogs being eaten. Yeah.
Somewhere, oh yeah, absolutely. Somewhere in the world, it is, and it's horrible, right?
It churns my stomach.
Yeah, I know, but yet we also,
and
we also live under bridges, right? We also decide that homelessness is going to be a moral issue. We also decide that people who were so traumatized as children that children that were raped and stuff who learned to cope by taking drugs, but this is a moral failing. Like, you should have been able to handle that, right? That's the message. Like, don't go sideways because that makes everybody look bad. It's like, well, I was raped as a child and I went to 16 foster homes and my foster mother was the first one to get me high, and like, you're right where you need to be then. You're right where you are now. Let's get you well. Right, let's be really clear, like, we don't give a whole lot of crap about anything other than ourselves these days.
You make me feel so normal with all your stories.
So normal. Well, you are normal. We're all normal in common, but it's how we define normal, right? Like it's life is subjective, man. Like, my normal is not your normal, but that doesn't mean that one of them is yours is better than mine or vice versa. It's like this whole superiority thing that we have going on, that I gotta be better than you. Like, go back and talk to your dad who's made you feel like shit. Take it out with him.
Exactly. The competition's over for me.
Yeah.
The competitiveness for anything, anything, money, girls, women, consumer goods, anything. Go on.
Yeah, I agree. But it's rough, it's rough out there. There is a lot to be freaked out about, right? It's like, I'm not surprised anymore why we're arguing the Kobayashi Maru, right? The unwinnable. Like, give me something, because if I come to the end of something, then what?
What's the Kobayashi Maru?
It's a Star Trek thing. It's the unwinnable. It's an unwinnable.
Like reaching heaven?
Well, that depends, because that's not. Yeah, I don't know that I believe in that kind of heaven anyway, so I don't really care about that. I mean, I haven't thought much about it because it's not part of my spiritual reality.
Well, it's part of mine, and in my heaven,
it is.
Yes,
how can you?
There's 72 Swedish girls waiting for me.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, if we're gonna go full on fantasy, why not? Then that means that my heaven involves 72 Korean men.
Korean men. Yeah, you go. There you go. I wasn't that picky as long as they're from Sweden. I don't mind.
Hey, be specific. You know what they say when you ask for something? When you ask God for something, be specific, because you never know what you're going to get.
Well, God can go fucking screw his bad memory. He knows what he's going to give me from the time I was born, didn't he?
Well, that's what a book written by humans says.
Yeah, but the concept of this God was spread and only really started to take off, was spread orally, but only really started to take off once it was written down by humans.
Okay.
So
I believe that.
It's the humans made it up. And then finally wrote it down after generations or who knows how many hundreds of years of passing it down as oral tradition. You know what I mean? Especially through the desert.
Yeah.
Everything had to have been oral tradition.
Hold on.
Oh, you're back to Rebel. I can call you Rebel again. I don't have to call you Sugar.
Sorry, hon. That reminds me. Oh, damn. Okay, senior moment. Never mind.
Well, I was saying that I noticed that your name is returned to Rebel, so I don't have to call you Sugar if I don't need to.
Yeah, that's fine. So I had 2 accounts. The other one is for my other job, because I do it on the internet, and it's not something. I mean, I'm not hiding from anybody. I just don't advertise it.
Hey, internet, she's here.
I don't care. Look, you know as well as I do, if somebody wants to find you, they're gonna find you, especially if you're on the internet. So, yeah, I just, I mean, you know who I am anyway, so it's not like, and I don't hide it from anybody. But gosh, I had a point, and now I can't remember it.
I remember the very, very last interaction we had.
Yeah.
We were talking about something or other, and it came up that I needed a monitor.
Yep.
And you said, okay, hold on a second. And you had my address and everything. Hold on a second, and then you cut off the communication. It's like, because you're going to go do something.
Yep.
And then I don't know, a week or 2 later, a monitor arrives from I don't know who was it, DHS or whoever.
Yeah.
And I never heard from you again. That was it.
Yeah, because I took off traveling. That's when I was, hopping around the world.
Oh.
Which I'm hoping to do again next year, but we'll see.
Oh, well, good luck if you can do it. I mean, way to bounce back.
Well, I may actually spend 3 3 months in Vancouver, and then work my way around.
You know how many people have come to Vancouver for 3 months and have never left, and have been here 20 years?
Well, I'm not gonna. Since I work for myself and I'm an independent contractor, or I will once I make that change, full time, I won't have a company that can sponsor me, and so I don't know that Canada is where I want to stay forever. So, but I'd like to go to.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you're here just for a short time.
Yeah.
It also depends on which months you come, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to happen. It's just I just started kind of putting the plan together.
If you come in August or September, July, August or September, if you will.
Yeah.
Perhaps even October. You will never want to leave.
Yeah, I've been to Vancouver. It's really nice.
What months were you in Vancouver?
I don't know yet.
Like, for example, this month, November, if you come to Vancouver, for this whole month, you will hate the city and you'll never want to come back, because it's been nonstop rain and short periods of no rain and then more rain and flooding, and it's just crazy.
I don't mind that. Like, I've lived in Chicago in the winter. I've lived in Seoul in the winter, and that's pretty brutal as it is. I don't mind it, especially if I don't have to drive.
If you don't have to drive.
Yep.
Well, but, living in a big city, you'd never have to drive, really.
Yeah.
So,
but 90 days there, 90 days maybe in Malaysia, 90 days in South Korea. I'll go to China for 90 days, and then I'll go to Germany, and there's a bunch of places.
It's going to be difficult for you to sort of have the best friend with you all the time.
Oh, I don't travel with anybody. I travel alone.
No, that's the traveling part. But when you get there and you're there for what, 3 months?
Yeah.
And everybody's a stranger, like everybody.
Good.
Good.
I'm a true introvert. Like, what? I have an excuse not to talk to you? Excellent.
Well, at the same time, you're the center of attraction because you stand out.
Well, yeah, if I'm in an Asian country,
Malaysia is an Asian country, and they're all short, and where's this other place? South Korea, they're all short.
No, they're not.
No, okay, they're not all short, but South Koreans are South Koreans. There are South Koreans that work the businesses in Vancouver are mostly short.
No, they're not. Not.
What do you mean they're not?
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, they're in Vancouver because I live. I mean, right next, the couple of streets over is all the Korean restaurants. So there's a lot of Koreans, and when Korea wins a soccer game or something, like, they all come out, and they're predominantly shorter than me.
It could be, but it's when I walk down the streets in Seoul, most men are my height or taller. Most. There's obviously the exceptions, but I don't see it as being any different than anywhere else.
Right, absolutely, because they don't have a big, huge mix. Like here, we have a lot of short white people. I'm very amazed. Like my cousins, all my cousins are like 5'6", 5'5". Like, what's with that? There's maybe one that's taller, like normal. No, there's maybe two that's like normal kind of height, right? But everybody's small. I'm kind of like a mutation that's gone wrong.
Giant among men. You're a Nephilim.
Compared to them, for sure.
You're a Nephilim.
But then, like my daughter, she married somebody short. She's short, and she married somebody short.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't care. I don't care how tall anybody is. Height's not a.
Well, she seemed to go for the short guys. I always used to think, I'm so glad I'm not short because the girls are going to go for short guys. But I see a lot of the short guys with the girls. So my sociological experiment failed.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. We put too many limitations on each other.
No, it was just an internal conversation I used to have. I always have with myself.
Yeah.
If I could be just a half an inch taller, not 1 inch taller.
Right, that's exactly what's wrong with us. We just need to be a half inch taller, or 1 pound lighter, or if I were just this, life would be great, right?
Yeah.
Oh, if only it were that simple.
You soon learn that's nonsense.
Right. So how are you doing? Good?
I think I am doing good. I'm in a good place.
It's wonderful.
I'm just not very good at house cleaning.
Oh yeah, me neither.
But I never have been.
I was going to ask you about Thanksgiving, but you don't live in that kind of country, so not that we should either, but you know.
I know that you had it on Thursday, I think.
Yeah.
And you were going to ask me about it?
I was going to, and then I realized that's silly. Don't ask a Canadian about Thanksgiving, right? That's just.
Oh yeah. It was just Thursday for us.
Yeah.
In fact, to be honest with you, I don't even know when Canadian Thanksgiving is because I tried to look it up. I thought it was next month. I'm not sure. I haven't. I think it was maybe last month, in October sometime. If there was a Canadian Thanksgiving, it was just another whatever day it was on. I didn't even know about it. At least you Americans talk about it. Canadians,
well, yeah,
they don't even talk about it.
It's Colonizer Day now, right? That's everything is colonizer. Hey, colonizer. Which fair enough.
Well, isn't that like making fun of genocide?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'd be absolutely fine if we got rid of Thanksgiving and the BS that we tell the world is
Isn't Thanksgiving the actual event? Isn't it a glorification of genocide?
Yeah, absolutely. It is exactly that. Yeah, so I would have no problem with, like I'm okay if we give the whole dang place back to the Native Americans. Like, go ahead, you can do it better by all means. Right now I'm up for whoever will, help take care of people. And
I think they're all dead. The ones you're talking about are dead.
Well, we've got a thriving Native American community, and actually, I think I see them really starting to.
I'm talking about the people who own the land that you want to give back to them.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. Of course.
Yes, they haven't moved in years.
Right, in years. I'm going to LA next week. I'm going to a concert, so it's the first time I'm going to be away from home for a very long time since I crashed and burned and rebuilt. So this will be my maiden voyage.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be a successful adventure.
Yeah, I think so. I probably will TikTok it or make some kind of. I'm putting together some content, so I'm thinking about a podcast or something. And
yeah, hold on a second. You've had a couple of attempts at doing podcasts or doing something.
Yeah, but they were half-hearted. I didn't know what I know now. So yeah, we'll see.
Mine are still half-hearted. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Oh, you're brilliant. You're my inspiration, man. Like I definitely my inspiration.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Why?
Well, because I have this format going now. It's like the third day, I think, where it's going to be every day at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. All gods are imaginary. Prove Sidney Winston wrong.
Well, that's what they say. Consistent content, right?
Yeah.
Make it.
I've been very patchy and pop up. So now it's going to be specifically every evening at 5 o'clock Pacific. Give or take, circumstances beyond my control. There'll be everybody will have 2 minutes. Anybody will have 2 minutes to prove me wrong in my claim that all gods are imaginary.
Can't wait. I can't wait to see the comedy ensue.
Well, pop in every day after 5 o'clock. I still haven't gauged. It's obviously not it hasn't picked up after 3 episodes because there's only 3 people watching actually right now. Oh, there's Iron. Hey, Iron. He might come in. Iron Charioteer. Yeah, he might. He comes in. He might come in.
You mean the original Iron, that one that was the Iron that used to be in the old community?
Someone I've never. He's come into this room a few times, so I know him now. But from the old days, I don't know him at all.
I'd know his voice if I heard it.
Exactly. Bill Pasdu says there is an expiration date to Sidney's inspirations. Wow. Huh.
Oh, really?
Yes. You heard it from me because I'm just passing along a message.
Okay. I don't ever listen. I don't even ever read chat. Like I never read chat when I'm talking with you. Never.
Well, I don't either. Funny, but he mentioned my name, so it pops up in orange and flashy and says, "Hey, you mentioned my name." And then actually, Iron Charioteer said, "Hey, all," and he said, "Hey, Sidney Winston," and then right below that was the prophet Bill Pasdu, who.
Oh, Bill.
Yes.
Hi, baby.
He was in last night, yes, I think he was, or the day before. But he doesn't like to stay long. I'm never quite sure why.
He's a mover. He's a shaker, man. He's got things to do, people to see.
Oh.
Like he's just bebopping around. Like Bill doesn't sit still for anybody, man. You got to pin him down and get him while you got him, right? Like that's the kind of cat he is.
So you think he's already moved on from the chat to somewhere else, and
might have, man.
like a butterfly?
You cannot hold Bill down. That's what I know.
That reminds me, my challenge is still out. I've never lost to a woman in wrestling.
Well, let me bulk up a little bit. I'm going to need to gain a little more weight then.
Then you could disqualify.
Yeah, I need a little sumo training or something.
If you need to gain weight, then that's a mindset that I can't live with. I can't understand.
I gotta learn to do the haka or something to freak you out.
No, I love the haka. I've watched hours of it. It's amazingly frightening yet
entertaining,
placid at the same time.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful.
Entertaining. Yeah, I watched a documentary where every school, all the school kids, when you go to school, it's one of the things you learn to do, the haka, and they have school against school haka competitions. Yep. It's brilliant. All the kids know how to do it, and I'm jealous. Yep. I'm jealous that no one's ever taught me, because I want to know how to do that. That is so me.
Right. They didn't teach us that kind of stuff when we were in school.
Now I got another thing. I'm pissed off at my parents about. He's not going to Australia to give birth to me and staying there. I mean, not Australia, New Zealand.
Right, yeah. So all of South Africa's on lockdown now, right? With the new variant.
I fucking hope so. Oh, COVID? I don't know. It's got nothing to do with COVID. I hope those cunts are on lockdown.
Yeah, they are. It's COVID, and they're
how has the crime rate been affected by the COVID lockdown in South Africa?
It's been horrible. There's been a lot of chaos over there, I noticed, but it's no different than anywhere else. Right here in California, they're doing smash and grab right now. Like everybody's going around Gucci and all the big places, and just like hordes of people are coming out of nowhere like a flash mob, running into all these stores, smashing, grabbing, and running. And
boy, I'm seeing like a lot of futuristic.
Yep.
I'm seeing things happen that I've seen happen in a lot of futuristic movies.
It's one big LARP, honey.
It's like have you ever seen Clockwork Orange?
Yep.
It's like the planet's turning into Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, it's LARPing. What better way? And it's funny. I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast the other day. At Daniel Schmachtenberg, who's just the most brilliant man in the world, and Tristan Harris, who was the guy behind the Social Dilemma documentary. And they were talking about, if you want to take down a democracy, you don't need an F-14 anymore. You don't need to go to war. All you have to do is cause such dissension amongst the people that they fight from the inside out. They'll destroy themselves. And that's exactly what's happening. So I'm just sitting back with my popcorn going, okay, at some point.
Oh, I have some updated news for you. The news variant of COVID is called Omicron. That information comes from Iron Charioteer, who obviously knows a lot more about it than I do. So come on in, Iron Charioteer, and tell us what you know.
Theoretically, nobody should know much. I listened to the Dark Horse podcast today, and he's an evolutionary biologist, Brett Weinstein, and he and his wife are both evolutionary biologists, and they were talking about it. The variant is too new. So right now it's just being sensationalized on the news, right? About, oh my gosh, is it more deadly or is it more infectious? And it's like there's not even enough time.
Come on, Iron Charioteer, let's hear you, because you just said 50 mutations in Omicron. What does that mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff bouncing around out there that has yet to be verified. So we don't know what's real.
That's an unfortunate name, Omicron, for
I know.
There's a company in here that's called Omicron Engineering or something like that.
There was a conversation on that podcast, the Dark Horse podcast, that talked about that, the politicizing of these names. It's like, are these people trolling us? Are they making these names up?
Yeah, somebody's trolling us. I don't know.
The whole world's trolling us. Everything's a LARP, man.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's a LARP.
It makes you think, though. If you go back to the 50 years ago era, wasn't everything a LARP then too?
Sure, it just wasn't done. It just took longer to get from one side of the country to the other.
Yeah, exactly. But whenever you went out, it was a LARP. Just like now, I guess. You were just out a lot more. So
yeah. So this crime, everything that we're seeing is no different than any other time in history, right? This is just a new vector. It's a new vector and a way to spread mass information, to harass, to do any of those things. It's no different.
Yet, at the same time, I'm not saying I don't know if we're at the safest point in our history in terms of being, everybody's individual safety and security, but we're certainly in one of those times, because there were times in history where chaos reigned, lawlessness,
like now.
Banditry.
Well,
sure. Maybe now as well, but at least there is an organized, far-reaching police force pretty much everywhere.
I guess, yeah. You got to fight fire with fire, right? I mean, when you talk about, troll farms, foreign troll farms, kind of, being the bad actors and stuff like that. Like, we're bad actors too. Both of our countries have bad actors that are combating it on that end, right? Nobody's innocent anymore. And now what normally, look, if you wanted to be a skinhead or a neo-Nazi back when you and I were a kid, you had to search those people out. It could take you months. If you didn't live in an area where there were other, white supremacists, you'd have to go find them, right? But now you just hop onto the internet, 4chan or 8chan or whatever chan you can find, and you can find your tribe anywhere, right? Quickly. So life is happening so much faster, and people feel like, if they found it, it must be right. Because Sidney, don't you know, nobody wants to be stupid. Like, nobody can be fooled. I can't remember who said it. It's easier to convince somebody. It's easier to fool somebody than it is to convince someone they've been fooled. I believe this.
Okay. Hey, Iron. Welcome.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
No, can't hear a word. Nothing. No. Dead silence.
I hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
First of all, I'm never going to lie to you, and I can hear you loud and clear. He will always lie to you, and he can hear you loud and clear.
Well, yeah. How could I answer you if I can't hear you?
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, now it's much better.
Okay, good. Okay, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. Rebel Melee.
Melee.
Melee. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Shouldn't there be like a accent aigu on the first E?
Accent aigu. You know what? It's a gaming. Well, it's not. I guess it's a gaming term, right? Melee. It's like fighting. I don't know.
Yeah. Melee is like a brawl.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like a brawl. Yeah.
But what's melee?
Melee.
It's pronounced melee?
Yeah, but I'm American, so I don't know anything about accent aigus except how to say it.
Okay.
Like, come on.
I would have said melee.
Melee.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that's how I say it.
That's
Rebel melee.
Yeah. All right. There we go. 2 against 1.
Yeah.
Well,
So you guys, what are you guys talking about?
everything and anything.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much everything. We've covered so many topics in the hour that we've been together.
Oh wow, you've been on for an hour already?
Actually, no.
Yeah.
I've been on for
2.
an hour and a half.
Okay.
So of course
Yeah.
Sidney would like you to prove God wrong to him. That's his get down.
Well, I already did.
Well, then your job is done, sir.
That's why he's allowed to come back, because he's the only one.
I had a blood clot in my leg, and I put the Bible on it, and it went away.
Oh, that's amazing. I don't
Yeah.
know that's how. I didn't know that the Bible did that, and I'm a believer, and I
No,
wouldn't
no,
do
it wasn't just the Bible. I also prayed.
And he prayed hard. He prayed hard.
that. As
Yeah.
long as it worked for you, I don't.
It did work. The doctors could not explain it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not
Do you
gonna tell
remember?
that
Do you remember which parts of the Bible you actually had open on your leg?
No, I put the whole Bible on my leg.
Oh, you didn't open it at all. So just the cover of the Bible.
No, what I'm saying is maybe the Bible was the right weight to get rid of the blood clot in my leg. Maybe if I put a different weight on my leg, right, that it would not have got rid of the blood clot. It might have actually made it worse. But the Bible was actually the right weight and the right consistency.
So weight is the way to get rid of a blood clot. Why didn't the doctors mention this?
I don't know. Maybe the doctors don't know that science. The science of putting. Maybe the doctors don't know what pressure science is. You know acupuncture. It's always it has to do with pressure, and it has to do
Acupuncture.
This argument
It's
is
needles going into your body.
break up the clot.
No, I know, but it also has to do with pressure. You have pressure points on your body, right?
Just where the blood clots are. Yeah, I guess.
Not
Yeah.
blood clot. That doesn't work that way.
But you've known that when you watch these old kung fu movies, that when the guy hits you at a certain pressure point on your body, you can actually die. You know that, right?
No,
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
on
watch
your
those
temple.
movies.
You hit the temple. There are certain areas that you can die. Okay.
Right.
Fair enough.
So I mean, do you deny pressure points?
Oh, I don't deny pressure points at all. I
Okay.
just don't know. I don't have enough medical knowledge to know exactly how they work.
Okay, so that proves the God.
Okay then.
I'm not going to tell you how you believe. Whatever you believe is up to you.
Do you know what E.A. Dawa came in here with his argument yesterday? He came in and said, my electronic device that I'm using right now to connect on the internet is my God. There you go. I just proved you wrong. That was his
Sorry,
argument.
wait. Can you repeat that? I was looking at the chat. Can you say that again?
He said, he came in and he said, I'm going to prove you wrong that all gods are imaginary. I'm going to prove you wrong, and here it goes. I have this electronic device, and I am calling it my God.
Oh. Okay.
Proved you wrong. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, he's a cell phone trick.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
It is pretty
His
hysterical.
cell phone trick. Okay. No. Actually, you know what I did? You had Iwe Dawa on?
That was him I'm talking about. Yeah.
When?
Yesterday.
Oh shit! I was at work. I missed it. God damn. I want to talk to EA Dawa. Khalil, what's his name? Khalilullah?
His name's Justin, really.
I talked to him. He's okay.
Just that
when Khalilullah, right?
I'm not a fighter.
Khalilullah.
I know it's not. It's Khalilullah.
Khalilullah. Okay.
Khalilullah.
Yeah. You kind of pronounce the K as a G or a Kh.
It's it's a little bit of a guttural Khalil. Yeah, I don't know how he gets it, but he goes deep.
That's an interesting guy because I watched his arguments that he presented when it comes to his necessary being and all that shit that he proclaims. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of weird, man. That's I mean, the Kalam debunks the necessary being argument right there.
What about his talk on the problem with faith?
Well, let me finish my point, because what happens is that because in the Quran it says that they have the saying in the Quran that says lam yulid wa lam yulid, right? God is neither begotten or begets, right? That means that God cannot procreate, or he's always been, right?
Mm-hmm.
So God is the necessary being.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when he goes into the necessary being argument and the Kalam, he's saying that nothing can how does Kalam go again? Everything that exists has to have a cause, right? Something that begins to exist has to have a cause, right? So what he's doing is he's saying that something which is his necessary being of a God, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Who says? Who says that?
Exactly. Who says? What are you talking about?
But something is. But something is his necessary being.
No, it isn't. Is it?
Yeah. No. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. That's what the Kalam says, right?
Okay. Then it says the universe began to exist.
Then it says the universe began to exist. The universe
had a cause.
Right.
Therefore, the universe had a cause, but it doesn't say God. Listen, this is what E.A. Dawa made very clear to me yesterday. I thought like exactly the same thing as you did yesterday, but E.A. Dawa, as a kalamalologist, he pointed this out to me that it's not about God. It's just mentioning that the universe had a beginning.
No, the reason why he's saying that is because he was convinced with purely philosophical means. He did not have a religious experience. His conversion came through a philosophy. That's all he used, right?
But he's not a philosopher. He's a truck driver.
He's not. But the people that convinced him are philosophers.
Hey, Jesus was a carpenter. Back off.
No, actually, Jesus was not a carpenter. That's wrong.
Okay, I just read
Jesus was a tecton.
He was a taxi driver.
No. A tecton means somebody that worked with their hands. Also, if you look at the word architect, Jesus could have been a Freemason or an architect. That's what the word tecton in Greek means. It's most likely related to, if you look at the word in Greek, which means tecton, that means somebody that works with their hands, or maybe with stone, or something that creates something with their hands. That's what it means.
Why is Greek so important when Jesus lived in Judea, which was on the very fringes of like everything, and they had their own language? They didn't speak Greek in Judea.
Well, there was a mixing between the Jews and the Greeks. You know that, right?
Right.
In Judea?
No. Get me on that.
In Judea.
No, I know that in Galatia, yeah.
Where? Sorry?
Asia Minor. Turkey.
Was in Turkey, and it also extended to south in Judea.
Yeah, but remember that the time of the story of Jesus is the Romans were in charge. Firstly, the Romans spoke Latin at home, and I don't think that everybody in Judea spoke Greek.
Well, so how did the New Testament come about?
Because by the time the New Testament was written, which was
like 90 years.
After the destruction of the Second Temple.
Okay. So who translated the Old Testament from Hebrew to Greek?
Everybody.
Who did that?
Everybody.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So what?
Translated in so many languages.
There is a name, isn't there? A name for that for the official translation?
Yeah, I know there's a name. I think it's called a Septuagint.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
but it
means
Aramaic.
that.
Wasn't Aramaic what they were speaking during biblical?
Yes.
But you know where the authors from the Septuagint came from?
No,
you know what the word Septuagint means? First of all,
seven.
That means 70, right? So the authors of the Septuagint actually came from Egypt. There were 70 people in Egypt that what's this guy Philo that commissioned
Philo of Alexandria.
Yeah, to translate the Hebrew to Greek. So that's what happened with the Septuagint, right?
Yeah.
But the Jews they had a number. They also liked the number 72 for some weird reason. So
I'm sorry.
I've
never come across that the Jews liked 72, and I know a lot.
Well, no. This is the thing. The Jews like the number 70, but
they don't like the number 70. I don't know that. I know a lot of Jewish history. 70s. I know there are some numbers which I can understand that they when you say, but 70 is not one of them.
70 is.
Okay, what does 70 relate to?
Well, 70 is related to generational, and also 70 is actually related to what mean apocryphal or how could I put this?
Well, okay,
like revelationary texts. That's what 70. Because look at the temple. I know you're gonna go into calendars and all that stuff, but the temple was destroyed in AD 70. Somebody set that up, right?
No.
Do you believe that the temple was destroyed in AD 70?
In 70 the year 70 of the Common Era?
AD, CE, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently that's when it was destroyed.
I mean, that's history, right?
It's history, but what's it got to do with Revelation?
Yeah, but who came with that number 70?
You did. Nobody else has heard of it.
It's history. All scholars say that the Jewish temple was destroyed in the year AD 70, right?
Yeah, it was, but so what?
So somebody manufactured that.
Okay, now you're scaring me. You're getting weird.
Listen. I think you're thinking too. I don't know how to put it, but you're not thinking outside of the box.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Because I don't accept that there's a God, for which there is no reasonable evidence.
No, I understand. But how did our current time system develop? How did our current time system develop? Who decided that the year 0 was the birth of Jesus Christ? Who decided that?
Some Roman emperor.
Oh, really?
Okay, who?
I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you, some Roman emperor.
They don't know. It was the scholars and people and human beings that decided that.
Pope Gregory decided it.
Okay.
There you go. That's the answer. Pope Gregory.
Quite possibly. Quite possibly.
It could have been Pope Gregory or Emperor Gregory. I don't know, but
right.
probably there's probably no difference.
Right. So this is the great debate between theists and secular scholars, right?
What is the great?
There's a debate between who established these calendars and stuff like that, and most people say that these calendars were established by astrotheological symbols in the sky.
Where do
in the heavens.
I don't know. This is the first time I'm hearing this stuff, so to say that it's general knowledge is untrue.
Well, is the calendar general knowledge?
Then how the calendar works? No, not at all.
Our current calendar is a general knowledge.
No. Do you, I, it's not general knowledge to me. I have no idea how the calendar works. I
So
just
you don't
know,
follow the calendar?
I just know that November is one, starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ends at 30. December starts at 1, ends at 31. Blah blah blah. But how it's calculated and all the mechanics behind it, I have no idea.
No, I exactly. You have no idea how it started, right? So this is the thing that who knows?
No, don't be ridiculous. Obviously, there are some people who know how to calculate a calendar. I'm not one of them.
So what I'm saying is that in order to be objective, right, when it comes to the calendar, there had to have been some kind of objective symbols, either on Earth or maybe in the heavens, or the stars, or astrotheology that told us, you know, where the calendar comes from. Because you know Ptolemy in Egypt, the guy in Egypt.
You're running around all over the place. You're not making any sense.
So how are you confused? Are you confused?
No, not at all.
Yeah. All I'm saying is
you're the one who's trying to talk about things that he doesn't know about.
Okay, but do you agree that the calendar is man-made? It's man-made?
Obviously.
Right. So what is that based on? What is the foundations of our calendar?
Based on observation.
Observation of what?
Observation.
It's based on the way we rotate in the world. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, we're based on the observation of the stars.
That's right.
Relative to the planet Earth, every single day of every single year for hundreds of years until people figure out, hey, there's a pattern here. Is that what you said? Oh, I see.
I said astrotheology.
What the fuck is astrotheology?
Astro means star.
Yeah, but the stars, the constellations and the stars and the calendars got nothing to do with theology.
No. Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you know the Sphinx in Egypt, right?
Not very well, no.
Okay, the Sphinx in Egypt faces a certain direction. It faces east, right?
I have no idea.
Right. If you look at the Sphinx, it has a face of a pharaoh, and it has a body of a lion, right? You can clearly see it's a lion, right? I mean, you look at the paws. So I mean, if you look at if you want to find out when the Sphinx was constructed, you actually have to look at to see when the constellation of Leo was in line with the sun rising every morning, right? So the sun rose every morning in the constellation of Leo for 2,400 years, right? And then it switched to Aries, and then Leo. Then it switched to some other signs, but then it eventually got to Aries and Taurus and Aquarius, and Pisces, and then Aquarius. So we are in the age of Aquarius right now, right? Well, we almost at the age of Aquarius.
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
So how do you think the Sphinx? Why did the Sphinx have a lion body and the face of a human being?
I've never ever studied that. I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I've never studied Egyptology, I guess.
It's because when the Earth was in the constellation of Leo, the sun always rose in the constellation of Leo. Leo is the lion, right?
What are you talking about? Leo's the lion of what?
The zodiac.
Oh, I don't do zodiac. Zodiac is horoscopes and nonsense.
Sidney, are you Jewish, right?
I'm an atheist.
You're atheist, but you were Jewish, right?
No, I've always been an atheist.
Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of Jews that believe in the zodiac. You know that, right?
I do not know that.
How
would I know that?
Because if you look, there's physical evidence for it. If you look at the cities around the Sea of Galilee, right? There's a specific city called Hamatavera. If you go to that city, you will uncover a relief on the ground, right? It's a circle, and it has 12 houses or 12 spots, and in the center is the sun and the moon, right?
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
This is called. Do you ever look at a zodiac on behind a paper in the paper and all that?
No, it's all nonsense. Of course not.
I know it's nonsense, but what sign are you? What is your sign?
I have no idea. I don't even care.
I'm a Leo, Sidney.
Congratulations, Leo.
Thank you. You don't know what your sign is.
No, I don't want to know what my sign is because it might bring bring me bad luck.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that the zodiac was an ancient art form that was used by early sages and gurus and rabbis and priests and all this shit to come up with these stories of the Bible. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
So in the Bible, there's a verse that says, Jesus left with his apostles. They went into the city, but Jesus said to his apostles, watch for the man that comes with a water pitcher, bearing a water pitcher, and enters into his house. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean?
You're asking the wrong person. I have no idea.
What is Aquarius? What is the picture of Aquarius? Aquarius is a man bearing a pitcher of water and pouring it out.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. Look at the sign of Aquarius.
Nah.
Look at this sign of Aries. Aries is what? A ram, right?
I don't know.
Aries is a ram. It's the ram that was found in the bush after Abraham wanted to sacrifice his son. God put a ram in the bush. That's Aries.
Mm-hmm.
It's all fake. It's all made up. It's stories written about the stars in heaven. There's nothing real about them.
Okay.
The bull in Taurus, when Moses went to Mount Sinai and the people built a golden calf or a golden bull, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's Taurus. That's one of the zodiac signs, right?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus is known as the Fisher King, or the fisher. You know, he got all these fishermen together as his disciples or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was his sign? His sign was the Pisces, the two fish, right?
I don't know.
The Jesus fish. That's Pisces, right?
I don't have a clue.
Okay, what happened to Rebel? I wanted to talk to her.
I don't know. Well, I guess she wanted. You didn't want to talk to her. That's probably why she left.
Well, did I stifle the conversation? Or
no.
something?
Well, if you wanted to talk to her, then you had all the time in the world to talk to her, but you never got around to talking to her, so I guess she left.
Well, but I want.
I don't know why she left.
Okay.
I know you want input from others. That's
well, how did your talk with EA Dawa go last night?
It went fine. We ended up just chatting and having a laugh, and he's a nice guy. He's a good person.
I know he's a nice guy.
He's a good person. Unlike we were talking, unlike Darth Dawkins, who's a shit person.
Right. So I mean, like, I don't know, what kinds of things did he bring up? Like, what kinds of arguments did he bring up?
Just I think the digital device or the electronic device, and then he concentrated more on telling me how much he's debunked me and stuff like that.
Okay, hey, listen, give me a second. I want to get I'm going to refill my drink, okay?
Yeah.
I'll be right back.